Part of the story about Rick coming in. We were going to do a debate, and none of the other candidates, by that time, there's only about 3 or 4 left, and none of the other candidates came in. And I told him if he'd come on down, he would have pretty much the Alabama media and the Mississippi media, and he won both primaries.
I did.
Yeah.
So, right before he spoke, though, I got a call from a reporter of the Talking Point Memo, TPM. And he was saying, "You've got Rick Santorum coming." I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, you know, Alabama's a red meat state. It's going to be a red meat speech." And I said, "Well, I honestly don't know what he's going to talk about. He's going to talk about his agenda. I think he's going to talk about jobs." And, "Yeah, but Alabama's such a red meat state. Don't you think he's going to?" I said, "No, I think he's going to talk about what a vision for the country." And he said it again. I said, "Well, I'll tell you what, why don't you tell me how you'd like me to answer, and I'll consider it." That was right before we did the dinner. So I hate the media, most of them. But and on that point yesterday, I got ambushed by Chad Pigram at the TV camera and all that, Fox News. And he was asking me, he said, are the Republicans putting targets on the Democrats? And I said, no, they're putting them on themselves. I said, have you looked at the president's numbers? They're in the tank on crime, they're in the tank on the border, they're in the tank on the economy, they're in the tank on China, and they're going to be in the tank on COVID because of the way they're handling things. I said, they're targeting themselves. And then he asked me, well, you only need a few seats to get back in the majority. You think you can just coast it? And I said, no. We're working, we're wide open, because this is not about Republican or Democrat. It's about what's best for the country. And the American people are waking up. And we're presenting alternatives to the Democrat vision. Our ideas and our solutions are far better than anything they have to offer. And you can pretty much check any box you want to on whether it's healthcare, the economy, crime, education, the border, China. We've got better ideas. We have a better understanding of what's going on in the country. I think the challenge for us is motivating people to get involved. During the school year, I host a monthly breakfast for college students. Call it my leadership breakfast. And we hosted it at Sanford University, which is in Birmingham. And I started this when I was with the Alabama Policy Institute. And the thing that I impress upon them, and I did it for young professionals as well, people right out of college starting their professional careers. And I'll look at these young people, and they're so cynical, they're so suspicious of elected officials, but I'll look at them, Rick, and I'll say, you're going to wake up one morning and be my age, and you're going to be the ones making decisions. That's inevitable. You're going to wake up one day, and you're going to be my age, and my generation won't be here. It's going to be left to you. And you're going to lead. You're going to lead as a parent or a spouse or in your church or community. You're going to be a decision maker. You might be in Congress. And I feel that it is my responsibility, it's incumbent upon me in the time that I have, in the position that I'm in, to do all that I can to make sure that when that day comes for you, you make a good decision. We've got to prepare for the future. We haven't done that. And the reason we're in the shape we're in today is that we haven't focused on preparing people to lead. We failed to teach them the history of the country, and I don't mean teach them a glossed over history. We've made horrible mistakes. I remind people that when you read the Constitution, it says, we the people of the United States, in order to form a perfect union?
A more perfect.
A more perfect union. Well, why would they write that? It's because they understand or understood the human condition. We are always going to be a fallible people. So it's incumbent upon each generation to learn what went right and what went wrong. One of the things I try to teach my kids is that smart people learn from experience, but brilliant people learn from other people's experience. That's why I study history. So obviously we've made some horrible mistakes, particularly in terms of race and slavery. And we can't gloss over that, but you cannot let that destroy your future. You cannot let that become what enslaves us intellectually and socially and divides us. We've got to figure out a way to look at everybody and see the future. I spoke to Young Americans Foundation. They had about 60 interns there, and I was asked, well, how do you deal with the racial differences? And I said, well, I come from a Christian perspective, as does Rick, and there's a passage in 1 John chapter 3, verse 2, says, beloved, we are but children, and we do not yet know what we will be. But we know this, we will see him as he is, and we'll be like him. There's not going to be a black, white, tall, short, male, female, distinguishing. I mean, we'll see that, but what we will see is how we really are. We don't even know what we are until that time. So there's no way that a person who claims faith in Jesus Christ can be a racist. It's wrong. If we can start pulling things together in that context and then have sensible solutions to deal with the problems that we have with our economy, with health care, with crime, with the border. I heard Warren talking about these people from Afghanistan that supported U.S. efforts there. I'm very, very concerned about that. I support bringing them here, giving them amnesty. You know, we had a hearing, I'm on the Energy and Commerce Committee, and we had a hearing and brought in the acting director of the Office of Family and Children from the Biden administration. And the chairman of the Energy and Commerce Committee is Frank Pallone. And he made a statement that a lot of the children at the border have come here to escape violence in their countries. This was a gift, because that morning I looked up the murder rate in the Northern Triangle, in Honduras and El Salvador and in Guatemala. And this was the week after Kamala Harris had that disastrous trip to Guatemala, where the president of Guatemala pointed out that this was a problem created by President Biden. And so I brought this up to this lady who's the acting director, and I said, you agree with the chairman's statement? Of course she did. And I said, well, that's interesting, because the murder rate in Honduras is 35 point something per 100,000. It's 19.7 in El Salvador. It's 15 in Guatemala. But it's 58.6 in Baltimore. It's 87 in St. Louis. I said, what are you doing for the children in St. Louis and Baltimore to help them escape violence? Mm-hmm. What are you doing about the cities that have defunded the police and seen their crime rates go through the roof? And how many of these kids are being transported from the border into cities that are 5 times more dangerous than where they left? I mean, this is ridiculous. So I think that we're on a path to regaining the majority, but that's just a tiny step toward what we need to do. We need a great awakening to take place in this country, spiritually and politically and in terms of our history. And we need to be investing ourselves in the next generation that's going to take our place, because it's not enough to have a majority for a few years and do all that we can and then leave and not have people prepared to take our place. Right. This is generally a sign that I need to wrap it up. Yeah.
So, what was the other side of the story? Did the light bulb go on in that person's head?
There's no light bulb. Not.
Right. You know, that's what I was afraid of.
You know, it's one of those moments where they just kind of sit there and look at you dumbfounded.
You got 2 heads now, right?
Yeah. So, and I do it to them all the time. I admit that I kind of enjoy it. But do we have time for a few questions?
You have. Yeah, my heart's office is 4.
Well, you can answer.
Go. Keep doing some questions. I'm fine.
He'll correct me. Yes, ma'am. By the way, Warren Davidson is a brilliant guy. I really like Warren. And Chip Roy,
I agree.
Chip came out of think tank world too. I've known him a long time. First met him when he was with Ted Cruz. So you got the best of the best coming in. And then you got me. Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned the need for spiritual awakening. Can you tell me if the congressmen are praying together?
A lot of us are. There's a Bible study in the morning at 8 o'clock. We rotate around each other's offices. When it's in my office, I lead it. I've written hundreds of devotions, and I usually teach from that. There's a prayer group that meets at 7 or 7:30 tomorrow morning. There's another Bible study that I'm in, meets at 8 o'clock Thursday morning. And that's just the ones that I know about. For a while, there was a group that met every night while we were here at 9 o'clock to walk around the Capitol and pray. Any other questions?
Can you still do that?
You can walk around the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were meeting in the Capitol on Wednesday nights, and there's a guy that flies in from Los Angeles to sing, Steve Amerson, and he is one of the really top talented guys. He does a lot of the movies, the animated stuff and singing for Disney people. It's really good. All right. Thank you for letting me.